Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I'm bringing you another episode of our standardized armor guide series. This one is for the Saxon armor set. And so basically, just for anybody that maybe hasn't seen any of the other videos, to make it into this series, you have to have at least 3 items that are consistent in naming or, I guess, region association or something like that to make it seem like the set is supposed to go together. So this isn't just creations that I like or combinations that I like or aesthetic choices or anything like that. They have to be named or at least, like I said, linked in some sort of way. And in this case, they are. I was able to find 4 pieces actually. I'm only using 3 of them because the 4th is the male and that would change the stats too much. Plus, the Saxon male looks really bad, so that's why I didn't use it. But also, like I said, it would change all the rest of the stats and kind of screw up the thing that we're going for in this guide. So we will just have the 3 pieces and then the 2 other pieces that I think go well enough with it and don't violate any of the rules that I've arbitrarily set up for this series. So let's just dive on into it and I'll show you the suit of armor layer by layer. And so this is the first layer of the outfit. We're using the same items as we always do. I sometimes change the color of them, but the stats do not change other than possibly charisma and visibility, but those aren't the main point of these guides. So the pieces that we're using are, of course, starting off with the Noble's Belt and Noble's Pouch. These are not important stat-wise. They are just the best of each that you can use, and the only way that they change anything in the guide is that they each weigh a pound and they each are worth 220 groschen. So if you don't plan to use them, then consider 2 pounds less on the total weight for the suit of armor and 440 groschen less for the value. But the items that make up this layer are the short pourpont, and for this outfit we're using the green variant, which you'll realize why later. This has stats of 14 for stab defense, 46 for slash defense, 35 for blunt defense, and a value of 485 groschen. I don't normally say that, but it felt weird where I stopped in that sentence. Then, of course, the padded chausses. These have a stab defense of 31, slash defense of 43, and blunt defense of 34. And then the burger's shoes, a stab defense of 1, slash defense of 4, and blunt defense of 1. So that is what the first layer is comprised of. And just because people seem to like it, here's the exterior view of this layer with just the clothing. There's the front, there's a shot of the side, and there's a shot of the back. And so now we'll just move on to the second layer. And the second layer is made up of the same items that we always have it made up of. So the male hood with a coat of arms with a stab defense of 28, slash defense of 77, and blunt defense of 59. The hauberk long with a stab defense of 33, slash defense of 68, and blunt defense of 55. And the male collar with a badge with a stab defense of 27, slash defense of 68, and blunt defense of 55. So all 3 of these items have many different variants in the game, so you could use any of them. They all have the same stats. The only one that varies even slightly is the male hood with a coat of arms, which has different colors, and some of the colors have a lower visibility or conspicuousness than the others, but all the defensive stats stay the same. So this is what it looks like from the outside. Here's a shot of the front, here's a shot of the side, and here's a shot of the back. So let's move on and add the top layer, and I'll show you what the suit of armor looks like in its entirety. So here we have the third layer and the final layer in this instance, and the suit in its entirety. So as you can see, there are 3 items that are named Saxon. We have the Saxon Plate Legs, the Saxon Brigandine, and the Saxon Bassinet. So all of those are fairly straightforward, and all of those have several different variants. Well, I mean, the Saxon Plate Legs have like a dozen variants, but there's one that it has the green tassets on it, one that has dark red, and then like all the other 5 or 6 of them have a bright red tasset, but don't appear to be different in any other way. But they all have the same stats. Then, so the Saxon Plate Legs, we have a stab defense of 119, slash defense of 86, and blunt defense of 31. The Saxon Brigandine, we have a stab defense of 125, the slash defense of 90, and a blunt defense of 32. And the Saxon Bassinet, we have a stab defense of 123, slash defense of 89, and blunt defense of 32. So like I said, I just chose a version of each of these items that matched roughly. So I chose the green variant for the cuirass, so that's why I went with the green accent for the legs, and then I matched the color of all the plate that I'm using off of those legs. So it's a slightly darker blackish sort of blued steel look to it, but all of these variants approximately match each other. Then the other items that I used that weren't named Saxon are the stuff for the arms, so the gloves and the arm armor. So for the gauntlets, we went with the hourglass gauntlets, and they had a dark variant that I was able to use here. They have a stab defense of 119, a slash defense of 86, and a blunt defense of 31. Then for the arm armor, we went with the plate knight gauntlets, and they have a stab defense of 119, slash defense of 86, and blunt defense of 31. So the reason I went with these 2 items over all of the other ones that are optional is that this is a suit of plate armor, minus the brigandine for the torso covering, so I didn't want want to use brigandine type armor for the arms, considering the legs are plate. If the legs were brigandine already, then I probably would have used a green brigandine for the arms to match the cuirass, but considering they weren't, considering their plate, that's why I stuck with that as the vibe. And the Hourglass gauntlets and the Plate Knight gauntlets are the highest stat plate armor for each of those slots that you can get that aren't specific to a suit of armor. So I didn't want to use like Milanese gauntlets, even though they have better stats, because those are Milanese, they're not Saxon. And in this instance, Saxon, or at least the interpretation that I'm getting, considering it doesn't say it expressly, but given the region of the map that the game takes place in and, you know, reality, I'm going to go ahead and assume that these are forged in Saxony, which would not be super far from Bohemia, and they were well known for armor manufacturing during this period. So that is the suit of armor in its entirety, or at least this is the variant that I like the best out of all the other variants. I'll show you one more just to show you some of the variety you can attain with the many variants of all of these pieces that we have. The second suit will have the same stats, but will obviously just look different because I'll be using different variants. But before we get to that, let's talk about stats on this suit of armor. And so for the suit of armor, you can see that we're showing a charisma of 24, which is not bad, and that's considering we do not have any spurs or jewelry on. You add some spurs and jewelry, and this will easily be a 30 charisma suit of armor, so that's great right out the gate. Our other stats are a total weight of 85.7 pounds, which is certainly on the heavy end for something to be carrying around on your body, but nothing ridiculous for a full suit of armor in this game. Very comparable to a lot of the other suits that I've already done so far in this series. Our total value for this is 13,553.6 groschen, which might make it the cheapest suit of armor on in this series that I've done so far. I don't want to go flipping through my notebook to check right now, just because it'll make a bunch of noise, but that is lower than most of them that I remember off the top of my head. It might be the lowest one so far. So definitely very affordable considering how good it looks. Then for the armor value itself, if we look down here in this little box, you can see how it breaks down. We have an average for the head of 223, an average for the body of 202.7, an average for the arms of 194, and an average for the legs of 153.3, giving us a total overall average armor rating, or AAR, of 193.25, which does fall a little bit short of our 200 unstoppable tank line that we arbitrarily like to aim for very heavy armor that protects you extremely well, but still very close, and better than other sets that we've covered, like the Nuremberg plate armor. So definitely very good stats defense-wise, especially considering the fact that we have a very high charisma with this suit and can easily boost it to be a max charisma suit of armor. So very cool. Now I will show you a slightly different variant using all the same parts, but obviously it will look very different. So stick around for that. All right, and so here we have our second variant. So you can see we're using all the same items: the Saxon Brigandine, Saxon Bassinet, Saxon Plate Legs, but we're also still using the Plate Knight gauntlets and the Hourglass gauntlets. So all the same pieces, but it looks totally different. So that's one of the things I really love about the armor variety in this game. There are less pieces overall, so like less named items that are different and unique in that way, but they have a ton of different variety within each item. So this is exactly the same suit of armor stat-wise, except the charisma is a little bit lower because that Saxon Brigandine I was using the first time is like the highest charisma Brigandine or cuirass in general in the entire game. But so this has slightly lower charisma. But the rest of our stats are the same. We have tremendously good armor value here, great value, great or very comparable weight. So good suit of armor. Now, I hope you enjoyed the video, but that's it for the guide. Now I'll leave you with some high-definition stills of both of these sets of armor. I hope you enjoy that, but that's all for today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.